A drunk jury, a Los Angeles County jury just handed a former LAPD commander $5.7 million. A commander who was found passed out drunk in an unmarked police vehicle, stopped against a parked car in the middle of a Glendale, California street. She wasn't behind the wheel, though. The driver was a subordinate, a sergeant she was banging, who was slumped over behind the wheel, too drunk to drive, too drunk to stay awake. Nicole Mehringer didn't just embarrass herself that night, she embarrassed the badge. And the city of Los Angeles just wrote her a $5.7 million check for it. Before Mehringer was fired, the LAPD offered her a settlement, a demotion of 2 ranks, from commander down to lieutenant. On paper, that sounds significant, but in practice, public salary records on Transparent California tell a different story. The base salary difference between LAPD commander and a lieutenant is negligible. She would have kept nearly every dollar of her paycheck, retained her pension, and, given how promotions work inside the department, likely would have worked her way back up within a year or 2. She said no, and remember the severity of it. Just dating a subordinate goes against department policy and is worthy of a demotion. But getting drunk with the subordinate and then allowing the subordinate to drive drunk in an unmarked police vehicle? What does it take to get a cop fired? She turned down a deal that cost her almost nothing, got fired as a direct result, and then had the audacity to sue the city that just offered her a lifeline. And a jury gave her $5.7 million. Seriously, what does it take to get a cop fired? This is the question that should keep everyone in LA up at night. Mehringer wasn't a little buzzed at an off-duty happy hour. She was found in an unmarked LAPD vehicle, stopped against a parked car in the middle of the road. It took Glendale officers 20 minutes to get her and her subordinate out of the car. She argued with responding officers. She was charged with public intoxication. Her sergeant, the man she was in a prohibited relationship with, the man she allowed to get behind the wheel of a department vehicle drunk, was charged with DUI. And the LAPD's initial response was to offer her a demotion with little to no financial penalty. That tells you everything that you need to know about how difficult it is to hold law enforcement accountable. The bar for termination is so impossibly high that even this, a senior commander, an unmarked vehicle, a drunk subordinate, a policy violation, a public spectacle, was met with a negotiated demotion offer, not a pink slip. Here's where this story becomes genuinely complicated, and it deserves to be said plainly. Mehringer's core argument that male officers who committed similar or worse offenses were demoted quietly, allowed to retire with full benefits, or in some cases promoted, appears to have been credible enough to convince a jury. And that's not surprising, because it's consistent with a pattern we already know exists inside law enforcement culture. If you're a male officer in the LAPD and you drink too much, date a subordinate, or make a mess of your personal conduct, there's a reasonable chance it disappears. No lawsuit, no press, no disciplinary panel. You keep your rank, your pension, and your reputation. The blue wall goes up and the problem goes away. That is a genuine injustice, and it deserves to be confronted directly. But the answer to this gender discrimination inside the LAPD is not a $5.7 million payout to someone who also broke the rules. It's accountability applied equally, which means it should be harder for male officers to escape consequences, not easier for a female officer to escape them. Let's zoom out for a moment, because the Mehringer verdict is a symptom of something much bigger. In California, a DUI conviction costs between $10,000 and $20,000 when you factor in all the fees and stuff. You lose your license, you get booked, your name goes on the record, it follows you for years, hell, forever. Sergeant James Kelly, the man who drove a department vehicle while intoxicated, was demoted to patrol officer and shuffled into an administrative role. At no point was he treated the way any civilian would be treated for the same offense. That is the quiet outrage running underneath this entire story. Law enforcement officers are sworn to uphold the laws they are simultaneously exempt from in practice. A DUI that would derail a citizen's life for years barely registers as a speed bump in a police career. The union steps in, the department finds a quiet solution, and the public, the people who fund every paycheck and every pension, are left to absorb the cost. Whether that's the cost of a compromised officer on the street, or in this case, a $5.7 million jury verdict. Look, here's the deal. Nicole Mehringer made her choices. She broke department policy by dating a sergeant. She sacked shotgun while that sergeant drove drunk. She was passed out drunk herself. She was also argumentative upon approach. And when offered a reasonable path forward, she walked away from it. The firing that followed was justified. But the system that produced this outcome, where accountability is negotiated like a real estate deal, where male officers escape consequences that female officers face, where DUIs earn a reassignment instead of a criminal record, and where a terminated commander can turn a justified firing into a multi-million-dollar payday, that system is the real scandal. Los Angeles taxpayers just paid $5.7 million for the LAPD's failure to hold its own people equally accountable. And somewhere in that department right now, an officer is doing something they shouldn't, confident that the wall will hold. It usually does. Hey, if you made it this far, I offer you a genuine thank you for watching until the end. It shows your dedication to police accountability, and it shows the algorithm that this story deserves to be seen by more people. Before you go, YouTube thinks you'll enjoy this video right here. Stay safe out there and catch us in the next one.